Hello everybody, this is Navivi, and today we're going to talk about the Elemental Shaman. Now we're going to do a little bit of a different thing in this video. When I see a lot of people make guide videos, they are making guide videos from the viewpoint of having the correct legendaries, correctly statted equipment, or gear. Today we're going to do something a little different. This is obviously not at the top of the gear pool. We have a couple of items that don't have the stats that we need on them, and we do not have the correct legendaries to roll the most powerful build for the Elemental Shaman. But what I'm going to tell you about and show you today is how we can kind of stopgap that and still put out decent numbers with the rotation. Now, in this build, I'm going to be using the following talents, and these are the ones that really matter. Totemic, or it used to be called Totemic Mastery. It's Totem Mastery now. Astral Swiftness, Elemental Blast, Echo of the Elements, and Ascendance. Now, the only difference here is you can trade Echo of the Elements for Liquid Magma Totem if you want more multi-target damage. It is on a 1-minute CD, so obviously you won't have the 2 charges for this. But that's really more of a management thing, and you can change it depending on how you want to run your rotation. Ascendance is more, it can be a multi-target thing, but I use it more as a single target thing to pump more lava bursts into my target, and I will explain why in a moment. Your other options are Ice Fury, in which case this has a completely different build. Rotation is a little different. For me, it's difficult to get used to. I don't really like it, so I don't use it. Your other option is Lightning Rod. Lightning Rod is kind of a multi-target thing, but not really. And what I mean by that is by choosing Lightning Rod, say I cast lightning on this fellow here, this dummy, and it procs Lightning Rod. Lightning Rod will do 40% of the damage that I deal to the targets around it back to it. So it is a single target mechanic in a multi-target environment, which is kind of interesting. Before Legion, Shamans didn't really have that kind of ability, but they do now. So if you are in a dungeon or a raid that has a lot of bosses with a lot of adds that need to be cleared quickly, but you want to keep maintaining damage on your primary target, Lightning Rod is the way to go. Ascendance is I still think it's more of a single target build. You do get Lava Beam in place of Chain Lightning, but really it's built around Lava Burst, because what it does is it removes the cooldown of Lava Burst, so you can just chain cast it. Now the only other one to swap out for later when you have better gear is Aftershock. You can go Path of Flame, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Aftershock, and the reason for this is it will refund 30% of all the Maelstrom you spent on your spells, per spell. So if you don't need the extra haste, and you've got good optimization and stats on your gear, you can easily drop Ancestral Swiftness for Aftershock. Now, for the purposes of this tutorial, we're going to use Ancestral Swiftness, and we're going to use Totem Mastery. The other option in opposition to Totem Mastery is Path of Flame, of which requires specific legendaries to make work really well. Path of Flame, just to tell you what it does, Lava Burst deals 10% more damage and causes Flame Shock to spread from the target to a nearby enemy. So you get a 2-for-1 here, but your Totem Mastery, when you're subpar geared, is probably your best bet. It does, 4 things basically. It summons 4 totems for 2 minutes. The first totem, your resonance totem, generates one maelstrom every 1 second, so you're literally generating maelstrom by the second. This is a good thing to stop fall off, because your maelstrom after time will start to decay. This stops that. Storm totem increases the chance for lightning bolt and chain lightning to trigger elemental overload by 5%. Now, to explain what elemental overload is when you trigger elemental overload, it copies the last spell that you just cast and does an additional 85% damage with that spell. So say, you cast your Earth Shock at 117 Maelstrom and you get an elemental overload with it. It will deal, say you do 1 million damage with it. It will deal the 1 million, and then it will deal 850,000 in addition to, if you have an elemental overload proc. There's nobody control this. It just happens. You don't have to hit anything extra for it. It does what it does. The Ember Totem increases flame shock damage over time by 10%, so pretty good passive there. The Tailwind Totem increases your haste by an additional 2%, so pretty good passive there. Totem Mastery is a really good choice when you're working with subpar gear or incorrect legendaries. Now, I have one of the legendaries I need for the Gambler build, but I don't have both, so we're not going to do that. We're going to do a video on how to rock this when you're still gearing and get decent numbers, and I'll explain the rotation in a moment. Now, the rotation mainly consists of two separate groups of events to track. Your Lava Burst will always crit so long as you maintain Flame Shock on the target. So I'm going to cast a Lava Burst just to show you the damage by itself. It did about 400k, and that was by itself. So we're going to put Flame Shock on the target, and then we're going to do Lava Burst. 971k, and then you get better numbers out of that. So you'll always want to maintain Flame Shock on the target. Now, a lot of people recommend that you refresh it at 9 seconds. You don't have to refresh it at 9 seconds. If you have a more important cast, like, see that proc that was just up there, but you still got like 7 seconds left, hit your proc first, and then pump your, put your Flame Shock back on it. And you'll see me doing that both in the single target and the multi-target rotations. You got your little elemental here. He's part of your opener. We're not going to bother with Bloodlust because Bloodlust is usually situational. The only other thing that I need to explain is how the interaction between Flame Shock, Elemental Blast, and Lava Burst work. So when you cast Elemental Blast, it will do one of three things. It will increase your crit strike, your haste, or your mastery by 2k for 10 seconds. Now, to optimally use this, you have to look at what it is doing for you. So if it's critical, you obviously go with your most powerful spells, i.e. being Lava Burst or Earth Shock. If it is mastery, then you probably want to, pump your lightning spells in, toss another Lava Burst in there just to refresh it until it drops. If it's haste, then you want to use that as a generator to get your Maelstrom back up to where it was. Haste is pretty good all around. You can cast any spell you need to, depending on what your situation is. The other thing that you can do if you don't have Elemental Blast up and you're not, there's no guarantee that you're going to get the haste proc, is you can pop Stormkeeper and shoot a few bolts into your target real quick, and that'll push your Maelstrom up really quickly. So, another caveat to your Maelstrom bar here is when you cap at 125, the game will tell you that you need to cast Earth Shock. It'll get that little glowing box around it, and it'll say, oh hey, you're at 125, you need to cast Earth Shock now. That's incorrect. You never want to fully cap before you Earthshock. You want to Earthshock around 110, 117, somewhere in there. Because most times when you Earthshock at cap, you've actually gone over your Maelstrom cap, and it's wasted Maelstrom that you could have used for another ability, or just to have that left over, not to have to make up so much of it. So I'm going to run the basic single target rotation with a basic opener, and after that I will explain how to incorporate ascendants to it. So the first thing you do, totems. Second thing, elemental, flame shock, elemental blast, and then lava burst, and you start using your filler. Keep in mind this is single target, and we're going to have to refresh flame shock. There we go. And we're going to go elemental blast again, and we're going to go lava burst. Oop. Earth shock. Hey look, procs. Now you never want to use both of them unless it's a proc, because that can screw you up really bad sometimes. And then boom. Got about 10 seconds left on flame shock, so we'll refresh that soon. There we go. Lava burst, elemental blast, lava burst, lightning spiller. Oh look, we have a proc. Let's use that. Oh, I went over cap. Oh well. Look, another proc. And another proc. Well, elemental blast again. There we go. And then if you want to, like you want to make up stuff really quickly, we'll throw a Stormkeeper in there, go bang, bang, bang. And now we've got our Maelstrom up pretty quickly. Oh, kind of screwed that up. That's alright though. And we just continue on like this. Now, in a boss fight, you'll probably get at least a couple Stormkeepers in there. But you should only use it when you can use all 3 charges. If you're in a situation where it's not good to use that because you're going to go over your Maelstrom cap, save it until after you've dumped with Earthshock. So we do that. Okay. So we held just over 1 million. Now I'm going to show you what it does when you've got Ascendants tossed in there. So we're not going to have our little flame dude for our opener this time. That's alright though. It's really not going to make all much of a difference. It's just kind of like an added, it gives you a little more DPS, but not a whole lot. So we're going to totem, flame shock, elemental blast, lava burst, and then we go into ascendants. That way we can just keep dumping elemental blast into it and dumping with earth shock, because it removes the cooldown of that. Now, so we're doing quite a bit more damage now because we've got that cooldown running for us. So it's a good thing. Now, the great thing is getting lava burst proc, because it's, it takes away the need for the CD, which is great. So now we're doing about 1.15 million. And we'll pop a Stormkeeper. Dump these. Do our elemental blast. There we go. Now basically when Lava Surge procs, it's not giving you a free cooldown, it's giving you a free charge. So it's all something good to remember, that it's still going to have a CD, it's just giving you one free charge of Lava Burst. Which means that it can happen literally in the middle of it being on CD. Which is kind of nice. What about, okay, 990,000, not too bad. Now we're going to go into the multi-target rotation, and I will show you how that works. Now the only difference there is your chain lightning will turn into lava beam. So we're going to see how well that works out. So we're going to summon our totems, summon our elemental,
I need a target.
put that there, do our elemental blast, get one of those in there, and then, oh wait, we have to wait for a minute because it's still on CD. Which means that we will not have our flame dude, because the CDs for Shamans are really messed up, in short. Anyway. I wish there were a way for it to detect whether you were at a target dummy. That way you could just tell it to reset. Obviously, because if you're at a target dummy, it's for testing purposes. But I understand why they don't. So it's alright. Alright, so we got 8 seconds left. Okay, now we're off CD. And let's give this another go, yeah? Alright, so we don't have our flame dude. That's okay. So we're gonna cast our totems, put our flame shock up, elemental blast, get one lava burst in there, pop ascendants. And now we're going to start just dumping lava beam in. Now we're going to multi-target this, that's right. Now this is where Stormkeeper really comes in useful, because it gives you a lot of Maelstrom very quickly. And your filler will become chain lightning instead. So we're at 1.43 million now. Now the other thing that you can do, instead of earth shocking right away, which I will tell you, is use earthquake. So there's an earthquake. It gives you a little more damage over time for the targets that remain inside the area anyway. So it's kind of nice. So we're maintaining a little higher DPS there with multi-target. Would have been more, but our flame dude, again, isn't there because of cooldown reasons. So, yeah. So there you have it. Subpar gear, holding about 1 million, and then before it tapered off, about 1.4 million. Or if you had your flame dude up in the beginning and you had popped Stormkeeper again, you could have probably held closer to 1.6 or 1.7 million. We don't have the right legendaries, we have subpar gear, and I say subpar because 938, 940 really isn't too difficult to get this late in the tier. You know, if you do your Argus stuff and you get your Obliterum and whatnot up, then you can achieve it relatively easily. But that's how you do that. I hope that this helped someone. If you need more clarification, please drop a comment or get a hold of me in game. I am on Wormrest Accord. The character's name is Navidi, N-A-V-I-D-I. Send me an in-game mail and I would be happy to explain anything that seemed unclear. So, with that in mind, I hope it helped, and thanks for watching.